Thank you, Stephanie. So, hello everybody. My name is Lloyd Helferty from UnityNet International, the global Unity Network management team here. I'm with Stephanie Schuller, who will also introduce herself, as well as doing a land acknowledgement on this day before Earth Day.
Hello everybody, I'm Stephanie Schuller and I'm in the Greater Toronto area, Tkaronto, in Canada, and we'd like to acknowledge that here in the city of Toronto, we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We welcome you to our Earth Day celebration.
Thank you, Stephanie. So what I will be doing is I will be doing a short introduction to let everybody know what it is that we are doing here today. So today is Sunday, April 21st, 2024. It is one day before Earth Day, an annual event that takes place every year on April 22nd to demonstrate support for environmental protection. So this was first held on April 22nd in 1970 and now includes a wide range of events coordinated globally by earthday.org. I will share the link to all of the resources later when this video is posted. So the Earth Day 2024 theme this year is what they say is planet versus plastics. And the aim and the purpose of Earth Day this year is to try and accomplish a reduction of plastic production by 60% globally by 2040. Earth Day 2024 will focus in particular on the health risks of plastics and the need for a global treaty to reduce their production and the related pollution. So at today's event, we are here in Leechcroft Park, actually Ada Mackenzie Park, in the city of Markham, because we want to bring everyone's attention to the parcel of land that is right behind us over in this direction, which has no buildings or infrastructure at this time and is completely undeveloped. We would like for the city of Markham and the local developer, Times Group Corporation for Construction and Management, a leading player in the development of high-rise condo projects, distinctive homes and condominium townhouses in the Greater Toronto area, to seriously consider alternative uses for the land, which has already been considered for a school and a community center, possibly combined, and to begin thinking about the establishment of a community learning center that can also have multiple uses that go far beyond just a school or a community center, as is normally thought of by those in our school boards and other institutions here in the developed world, established mostly in systems that were created in the 20th century, many during the Industrial Revolution or even earlier. In particular, we'd like for the city and the developer, and for local communities and developers across the Greater Tkaronto Bioregion in general, and in southern Ontario, and indeed all across Canada and Turtle Island, to consider the establishment of extended stakeholder partnerships that go beyond public-private partnerships or PPPs, and that can lead to the construction of multifunctional, income-generating, productive, regenerative community infrastructure that is built and operated by social entrepreneurs who are also seeking to leave no one behind as they operate their community-based enterprises in ways that help the rest of the community members achieve the global goals, the SDGs, one person and one meal and one family at a time, and in ways to help to pave the way toward a future that is even better than the one that we live in today, and that helps to bring everyone forward as we seek to create an abundance economy that ensures that the next generation has hope for the future and is living a regenerative lifestyle that matters to both themselves and to their family, to their neighbors and friends, and to all their relations, wherever they are, whether close or far. Now, getting back to the theme of today, planet versus plastics, the health risks of plastics and the goal to reduce plastic production by 60% globally by 2040 as an essential part of living a better life, because the need to reduce the production of plastics and all of the related pollution in land, soils, rivers, lakes, and oceans. As we know, plastic waste remains one of the biggest environmental problems in the world, and Southeast Asia is actually at the epicenter of one of these problems. This year's Earth Day theme is plastics, or planet versus plastics. It is part of the movement to end plastics and protect human and planetary health. On this day, campaigners are calling for a 60% reduction in the production of plastic by 2040, especially single-use plastics made from oil and other petroleum products. It may not be well known, but in 2018, China banned all the imports of plastic and electronic waste because much of it was unrecyclable and polluting. The ban caused a torrent of refuse to flow into Southeast Asia, and the catastrophic impact of this phenomenon has been widely reported, especially over there. But as many governments, they are trying to take action. The Basel Convention, which aims to protect human health and the environment against this hazardous waste like plastic pollution, was actually updated in 2021, just 3 years ago, to tighten the regulation and transboundary movement of plastic waste. And last year's G7 meeting of climate, energy, and environment ministers in Sapporo, Japan, an agreement was reached to reduce plastic pollution to zero by 2040. But the question you might ask is, have these tougher regulations in places like Southeast Asia made any significant difference? The evidence actually says no. Supported by the on-the-ground reporting across Southeast Asia, as reported in a recent story in Nikkei Asia, the situation there is actually worsening, with some of the waste finding its way to the region through illegal exports, sometimes involving criminal organizations. Given that Generation Z, the current younger generation, where Gen Z refers to the population that was born roughly between 1997 and 2010, are said to be highly attuned to this topic of plastic waste in the oceans and the soils and our land and our waters. These are the people, with their heightened awareness of environmental pollution, who will drive future consumption patterns and will take a central role in society in the future. Gen Zers have about 18% of China's population of 1.4 billion, and which is more than twice the total population of Japan. But because India has a median age nearly a decade younger than China's, at just 28 years old, as of 2021, the share of millennials and Gen Z in the country's population stood at 52%. How they spend or don't spend their money will likely have an even more significant impact on the direction of the global economy. So in terms such as reverse consumption and stingy economy, where these terms are already being used in Chinese social media and across their country, and the behavior of this cohort of young people will be extremely significant for future trends. And with a population of 470 million Generation Z in India, this is the largest in the world. Deloitte's Millennial and Gen Z Survey 2021 in India highlighted the fact that 91% of millennials and 84% of Gen Zers in India felt the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 had inspired them to take positive action and improve their own life, and are much more willing than their parents to break from tradition. In 2024, Gen Z in India ranked staying healthy, exploring career paths, and traveling as their top priorities. So there is significant potential for bringing new ideas about the future economy to this cohort of young people in places like India. So what does this have to do with reduction of plastic waste and the problem of plastic in our waters and oceans and soils? Well, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Risk Report 2024, they found that environmental risks will make up half of the top 10 risks over the next 10 years. So these issues will be of great concern to the Gen Z cohort in places like China, and most particularly in India, which will be looking at places like Southeast Asia and Africa as destinations to travel and explore for all of their amazing cultures and foods and more. But they won't want to go if the pollution and the corruption persists in those countries that are in those regions. But interestingly enough, starting tomorrow, from April 23rd to 29th, governments and NGOs from around the world will also be gathering in Ottawa to continue negotiating the terms of the United Nations Global Plastic Treaty. So Canada actually has an outsized impact on the direction we take and the decisions we make collectively. As a G7 country, Canada has already said that we will ban all single-use plastics, including plastic bags, takeout containers, and single-use plastic straws, with a target of zero plastic waste by 2030 in less than 6 years, where the regulations will prohibit the manufacture, import, sale, and eventually export of 6 categories of single-use plastic, and where the Government of Canada has also spearheaded the agreement that was made at the G7 meeting of climate, energy, and environment ministers in Japan to reduce plastic pollution to zero by 2040. So it seems to make sense to me, at least, that Canada and India should be working closely together, so that we should be working with those youth in places like India and with other young people in developing countries to innovate the sector and begin to develop the alternatives to single-use plastics, such as by finding and learning ways to preserve food differently, to transport the food far less, especially for foods that are currently packaged in plastic containers or plastic-lined paper bags or similar, and to learn how to produce more fresh food in their local communities that can be eaten right on the spot, directly from the production systems, rather than needing the plastic bags and the bottles and the containers to carry the food from the place of production or point of sale to the place where it's prepared and eaten. This will also likely mean that we need more young people to understand the traditional ways of food preservation that do not need plastic containers, whether they are bags or bottles or other packages that will lead to the production of this non-biodegradable and non-recyclable waste, along with understanding new systems of production of food that can be produced fresh and on demand and produced right where they live in their own local communities, ready to be consumed without ever needing to touch a single-use plastic item. So how do we raise awareness to this huge opportunity for Canada and India and other developing countries to work along together with all of our allies, especially those in UnityNet? For many here in Canada, you may not know this, but just this past Friday, 2 days ago, was the first day of new elections in India, and our UnityNet members in India could easily come together in partnership following those elections, which end on June 1st, 2024, to establish a coalition for the development of multi-stakeholder partnerships that are focused squarely on zero-emissions food production systems development and more, by developing community-to-community partnerships between our local communities in at least 3 countries, what we call a grassroots triangular partnership development ecosystem that may also include more countries and communities than just those first 3. Thus, as we continue to develop our network of networks to implement the community engagement programs, to develop the youth peace routes on the 3 continents. One of the approaches that we will be taking to help move those discussions forward will be to focus on the plastic waste issue, mostly from single-use plastics, from the point of view that local production of fresh food in all local communities, along with the teaching of alternative food preservation skills, including ancient ways of preserving foods, can help to reduce the use and therefore the demand and the perceived need to produce all of these various kinds of single-use plastics. And also noting that Canada and India, both of them, along with Africa, could work together alongside various other allies, and especially with young people, to innovate this sector, with the goal of eliminating single-use plastics by 2040 in all countries, as the G7 would like to do in their own country. So at UnityNet International, and with our partners, we have a big job to do. We'll need to help our partners find ways to showcase and establish the various new kinds of community learning centers that will help local communities to keep young people fit and active, impacting health in so many ways, to teach these young people various life skills, like how to recycle non-recyclable plastics into other types of value added, like for making bricks or houses, and for road building and other construction materials, and how to grow more food faster and locally, including fresh greens and alternative proteins like seafood in closed-loop, controlled environment, water-based production systems, how to properly preserve, prepare, and serve all of these foods without the need for any of these single-use plastics, and also how to produce more plant-based containers and plastic alternatives, and to also get them to understand the many, many opportunities for local manufacturing of all of these things that are currently made of plastic, but that can instead be made, for instance, from tree leaf fibers that are 100% biodegradable and fully compostable, and from well-managed community forests, managed by the young earth stewards and overseen by the watershed grandmothers and grandfathers, in partnership with the rest of the community partners and members in each local community of UnityNet, including all of the new female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs who will emerge and who will be delivering the on-the-ground solutions in all of these communities as members of our grassroots global partnership for regenerative development that helps to take our global economy beyond mere sustainability and toward earth restoration and health for all people and nature. And at the very end of this video, I would like to again thank my colleague Stephanie for being here with us. I do want to make one final note today. I did want to say this as well. Our UnityNet Youth Peace Routes Action Campaign, which will be starting this year, but will also include the Pedal for Peace activity next year in 2025, will also be focusing on the Fit for Life campaign of UNESCO, with the idea that we assist all of their global compact of partners to promote and establish agreements and structures that will allow all local communities to get the types of local, productive, regenerative, climate-smart infrastructure solutions that are necessary for circular economy development to proceed, by helping to get the various grassroots communities motivated to demand that the various types of globalization programs and infrastructure becomes integrated and embedded into their national development plans in all countries. Our approach at UnityNet is also to use sports for development, and that approach to effectively work toward SDG 4, quality education, as a contribution to the effort that will enable and ensure equitable, inclusive, and quality education and opportunities for all lifelong learners globally, as well as helping to meet at least another 10 of the goals, if not more. And we will establish a new UnityNet Sports for Development discussion and node, and start preparing for an event next year, 2025. that could be used as part of a big launch event of our Youth Peace Truce 2025 campaign on the 3 continents in North America, Turtle Island, Africa, and South Asia, with the launch event to take place on April 6th, 2025, the International Day for Sport for Development and Peace. So with that, thank you very much for being here with us today on this wonderful, beautiful day. In fact, one day before Earth Day, here in the greater Tkaronto bioregion in the city of Markham, in the Leechcroft Park area. We are here to bring good news, hopefully, to all of our members of UnityNet around the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lloyd, for all of your care for planet Earth and all of its inhabitants, for UnityNet, and all the growing number of people and partners all around the world to see all the importance for health and well-being of all of our relations. And we stand here in the park, and we're going to drum to seal in our intentions, to seal in our words, and to let the sound of everything that we say reverberate into the ethers for Earth Day 2024.